In this video, we will add error bars to our scatter plot and finish up the graph. So I want to point out that different options show up based on what you have selected. So if you've just selected a cell, the stuff that shows up here is different than if you've selected the chart. So if you ever are like, where is the thing that I need to change my chart? It could be that you just don't have it selected. I also want to point out that there's two tabs here, the Format tab and the Design tab. So if you're not seeing what you think you want, it's possible that you're in the wrong tab. We want to be in the Design tab, and we are going to add a chart element. And the chart element that we're going to add is error bars. Please don't use this one. Please don't use this one. Please don't use this one. I know that says standard deviation, and we're using the standard deviation to generate these error bars, but it's not this way. This is not what you want. Hopefully you can recognize that that looks like a mess and you wouldn't be tempted. We want to do more error bars options. And then that changed something over here. Now we have this saying format error bars. You have these kind of submenus here. So the thing that we want is this one. Error bars options. We have to go down to the bottom and hit custom. And I'm going to zoom out because I want to see my entire standard deviation column. Okay, so custom, specify value. You should delete what's in that box because right now it's doing +1 and -1. That's not what you want. You want it to be different for each data point. So you want to highlight this entire column to apply those individual standard deviations to your individual data points. And then the same thing for negative error value. We want to highlight that entire column. And the reason is we want the hat of the error bar to be the positive standard deviation and the foot of the error bar to be the negative standard deviation. So that's why this works. When I hit OK, we can see that something happened. I'll zoom in again. There's something here that we don't want, which is the horizontal error bar. So I'm just going to click on it to select it, and then just hit backspace to delete it. So now it's gone. It's a good sign that these error bars look to be different sizes, because we want them to match the standard deviations for the various years. So it's good practice to spot check a few. So I can see that in 1974 the standard deviation was 0.69, and it looks like that's what I have. Here we have a much smaller error bar, but that makes sense because we can see that the standard deviation in 1978 was much smaller. So it's important for you to just make sure that it seems like what you have makes sense and you didn't make any mistakes. I'm going to customize my graph a little bit more because I want it to be as clear as possible. Your goal in creating these graphs is to communicate about your data to someone who didn't take the data there with you. So I want to change the scale because I want to zoom in. When I click on the vertical axis, the numbers in the vertical axis, this pops up here, and this is format axis. So we have the same kind of sub menus. The one you want is this one that looks like a bar chart, and then you can see axis options. I'm going to change the minimum. I'm going to change it to 8. And then you can see that we really zoomed in on our data and hopefully made it a little bit clearer. You can change this chart title, so make sure you change it to something appropriate. Make sure that your title also includes what your error bars represent. You can see that the axis labels are missing, so we need to add those too. And that's just also an add chart element. And Excel calls them axis titles. So we want our horizontal axis title, and we want our vertical axis title. Once those are there, you just have to click on them and then edit them. So we can make this say, obviously, year. There's some other options in terms of formatting that you might want to explore. but that is the basics, and by now you should be able to make a scatter plot in Excel with error bars that represent the standard deviation. Congratulations!